Thank you. Good evening, and welcome to the first of 3 programs in our Centennial Presidents Series at the Huntington, devoted to the innovative and inspirational work of Octavia E. Butler, whose literary papers we have the privilege to house. I'm particularly pleased to welcome members of the Butler family in attendance tonight: Ernestine Walker Zadnik, Octavia's cousin, and her husband John, as well as Octavia's longtime friend, Donna Oliver. Octavia E. Butler was born in Pasadena. Hear it for Pasadena. Graduated from Pasadena City College. Yay. And lived much of her life here. She is one of the most imaginative, prescient, and influential science fiction writers of the 20th and 21st centuries. Through her friendship with Sue Hodson, Huntington curator, whom I'm also happy to say is in the audience this evening, so where is Sue? Butler decided to bequeath her manuscripts, correspondence, and working materials to the Huntington. And with her all too untimely death in 2006, the bulk of the materials came to the Huntington in 2008. Octavia Butler once wrote that when she first discovered science fiction, it appealed to her even more than fantasy because it required research into things that fascinated her. For anybody who's looked at the Butler papers and consulted the archive, the depth of that research is evident on almost every page. The Butler papers are the most frequently consulted collection in the Huntington Library's reading room. You might be interested to know that over 250 researchers from 9 different countries have made use of the Butler collection and archive here since it began, since we received it, and it was opened in 2014. And in addition, with the slate of film and TV options at play for adaptations of her work, and a documentary underway, Octavia Butler and Adaptation, the title of our series, should continue to have great interest. About 20 years ago, I was preparing to teach a graduate course on experimental fiction, and I discovered the gender and genre-bending novel Dawn by Octavia E. Butler. So it is a particular, real personal pleasure for me to introduce this program, Octavia E. Butler's Parables, a music talk with Toshi Reagon. And now to get us started, please help me welcome Toshi Reagon and Juliet Jones, as well as all of tonight's artists. Thanks for coming.
Good evening. My computer turned off. Just to let me know that we're all here and alive. Yay. Love you. Thank you. I'll even tell you my password, which is embrace diversity. For all you Butler people. I trust you. This is Juliet Jones.
have a dream, I dream again and again. I'm learning to fly. I shift into space, letting go. I'm learning to fly. When I begin to move, sliding on air, I'm learning to fly. Caught through terror and joy, leading towards the light, I'm learning to fly. Dreams come when I act like everything is fine. I'm learning to fly. Twisted up on this personal hook of mine, I'm learning to fly. When I try to act like I'm my father's daughter, I'm learning to fly. I fly until I run into a burning wall. I'm learning to fly. I'm learning to fly. I'm burning. I'm learning to fly. I'm twisting. I'm learning to fly. Hey, 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 and then the light comes. Oh, I have a dream that comes again and again. I'm learning to fly. I shift into space, letting go. I'm learning to fly. And I begin to move, sliding on air. I'm learning to fly. Caught through terror and joy, leaning towards the light. I'm learning to fly.
Y'all are already bringing it out the gate strong. Good evening, everyone. My name is Claudia Peña, and I'm your host for the evening, mostly because I have the title that maybe I share with some of you, greatest Octavia Butler fan ever. Raise your hand if you share that title with me. Wonderful. Glad to see you, brothers and sisters. I'm sure that since you appreciate Butler's works, you understand the beauty of collectivity, and so we can share our trophy together tonight. For those of you who are not yet familiar with Butler's works, I'm kind of envious of you that you'll be able to read them for the first time. Even though Butler's works get better and eerily more prophetic every time you read them, there's something about that first-time wonder of entering a new world that you just can't replicate. So I wish I could be in a book club with each of you and watch your head explode, but like in a good way, like the emoji. I want to start tonight by honoring the Tongva people as the traditional caretakers of this land, from the Los Angeles Basin all the way down to the Channel Islands. It's important that we recognize them every time we're in a public space. Okay, so you are here tonight for the next iteration of the President Series here at the Huntington, showcasing different collections. As President Karen Lawrence mentioned earlier, Octavia Butler's archives are housed here. And we have various artists from multiple disciplines who have created works inspired by Butler's novels, 3 of them tonight. And after each of their offerings, then Toshi and Juliet will respond musically to each of those offerings. And I understand that sometimes these things just happen on the fly, so we don't know what we're going to get tonight. That's how they roll. Octavia Estelle Butler was born in 1947. She started writing at the tender age of 10 and started trying to sell her stories at age 13. By the time she'd transitioned out of Earth in 2006, she'd written no less than a dozen novels, including Fledgling, Kindred, the Genesis series, the Patternist series, and the Parable series. That's the one we're focused on here tonight. And oftentimes she's referred to as a science fiction writer and awarded many awards for that. But Butler often said that on her business card, it merely said writer. She was a world builder before we had even come up with that identifier and was awarded the MacArthur Fellowship for her geniusness. Many say that she played a role in the rise of Afrofuturism, which is a genre of speculative fiction that specifically portrays Black people and Black themes. The list of writers who explicitly claim their work may not exist as is, but for Butler's work is long, including Toni Morrison, Adrienne Marie Brown, Sam J. Miller, Nnedi Okorafor, and Junot Diaz. She once said in an interview that her work is like exposure therapy. She showed us worlds that should exist. For example, Black women protagonists just living their lives with no limits. Or all the different ways of being human on this plane. And this is why her work is so meaningful to activists, to people who work for social justice and advocates who strive for a better world. She gave us blueprints, not only to imagine something different, but to actually build it. So I want to thank Toshi Reagon and Juliet Jones. We're lucky to have you both here visiting from New York. Toshi's been performing since the age of 17, and I feel like probably before then, at least in professional spheres. She's recorded over a dozen albums, the most recent of which is Spiritland in 2018. She performs with her band called Big Lovely, best band name ever. To me, her music is the kind of music that heals you from the inside. It's the kind of music that doesn't allow you to walk through the world like a sleepwalker. It's the kind of music that actually makes you a better person. It touches you all the way, through the heart, through the spirit, and I'm really happy to be on the stage with you tonight. She also founded a music festival called Word, Rock, and Sword to celebrate women's lives. Thank God for that. And as a true artist through and through, she's multi-hyphenated in all her endeavors and talents. So on top of being a musical recording artist, she's also a librettist, a composer. She serves as a musical director. She has a show called The Blues Project, and most of you know here that she wrote an opera based on Octavia Butler's book, The Parable of the Sower. And she wrote that along with her mother, Bernice Johnson Reagon, who was the founder of Sweet Honey in the Rock. It's my favorite. You're just putting that together. 2 + 2 is... She's here tonight with her good friend Juliet Jones. They've been playing together for years. Juliet came into the fold with Parable, with the opera, and she's now the string arranger for the show. She rocks out on the electric violin, although tonight she'll be on the acoustic. She's also really good with the drum pad, and founded Rootstock Republic, which is her own string production company. Together, these two make magic, as you have already seen, and prepare yourself for more. So I mentioned we have multiple artists from various disciplines, and up first to give the first offering, we have Sophie Kim. Sophie is the most recent LA County Youth Poet Laureate. At age 19, she may have accomplished more than half of us in this room, with multiple plays and multiple films. I don't know how she's had enough time. She's also published a book called Sing the Birds Home, and I asked her to bring a few copies with her tonight. I hope you did. Yes, good. And instead of comparing ourselves and thinking, oh, all the things I should have done in this life that I haven't yet, instead we will celebrate the fact that we have this young person who is already so self-actualized. So please help me celebrate Sophie with a round of applause.
Okay. Hi, can everyone hear me? Okay, hello. Thank you for that amazing introduction, by the way. So I'm Sophie, and I'm super excited to share what I've written, inspired by Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler. It's called Sermon of the Sowers, and the reason why it has that title is because, so in the book, Octavia's main character, she actually creates a new religion for her community, and in doing so, she writes a Bible. So I sort of imagined a sermon that she might give, and based it around one of the passages from her Bible. And that passage is, the passage is, all that you touch, you change. All that you change changes you. The only lasting truth is change. God is change. Now, imagine, it's 2027 in California. Violence is law. Gunfire no longer provokes outrage or protest, only relief by those who have been spared. Cruelty is the norm. Trust is a distant memory. This is the world created by Octavia Butler, where an unlikely group of runaways and loners strike out in search of something other than their own destruction. And what do they bring with them? Seeds. They bank on one hope, the belief in change. Change is hard, the hardest thing besides love. But change is the uncertainty you can always depend on, the most difficult and rewarding thing to believe in. Like a vine clinging to the side of a hill, throwing itself into the sky, snatching the sun from its high heights, saying, I will live. I will live. I will live. To be a sower means scattering the seeds of your future onto uncertain mountains, ravines, and hills, knowing that some will wither, some will die, and some will challenge the sky. Being a sower means asking yourself, what would happen if I believed in change? What would happen if you let change believe in you? As the heroes of the book reach their final destination, the pages of Octavia's book run out. There's no prize at the end of the road, no easy reward. Even though they have carried their futures for miles in ragged pockets and clenched hands, those sowers don't get to be sowers. Not yet. Their story ends with a question mark. And like them, your story has not yet been written. 2020 begins with a question mark. It is 7 days into the new year. 7 days since 2019, a year in which humanity was tested too many times to count. Just look at the news, the people in the streets, the tweets, and the crises. Humanity transformed into choked, starving vine, hungry for a gentle hand, desperate for the light. But it is a new decade, and you have survived. You have walked for miles through the twisting alleys of your own heart, carrying the seeds of your tomorrow in your palms. In your clenched fists, in your bright eyes, in your stiff shoulders that refuse to bend. How brave of you to hope that this year could be different. How foolish to hope that this year could grow into something better. How brave to say, I will seize this year and I will shape it, and thus shape myself, and thus shape God, and thus shape humanity. How foolish to think you could. How brave to know you can. Thank you.
A sower went out to sow her seed. A sower went out to sow her seed. And as she sowed, some fell by the wayside, and it was trodden down. And as she sowed, some fell by the wayside, and of it the birds did eat. A sower went out to sow her seed. A sower went out to sow her seed. And as she sowed, some fell upon the rock, and as soon as it was sprung up, it withered away, because it lacked water. It withered away. A sower went out to sow her seed. A sower went out to sow her seed. And as she sowed, some fell among the thorns. And as soon as it was sprung up, it withered away. There was no air to breathe. It withered away. There was no room to grow. It withered away. A sower went out to sow her seed. 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 And as she sowed, some fell on good ground. Some fell on good ground. From it the plants did grow. From it the flowers bloom. And in due time came forth bearing fruit. A hundredfold, a hundredfold, a hundredfold, a hundredfold.
Didn't I tell you we're going to get some healing tonight? Save you $200 in therapy sessions. Up next, we have an extra exciting piece because it, like the presenters, cannot fit cleanly in one simple box. Tamisha Tyler and Phil Allen have created an experimental curation of text derived completely from the parable of the talents and set in a debate format. This piece is accompanied by a data visualization created by Shelley De Leon, which will be on the screen behind. Tamisha's research focuses on theopoetics, and she uses Octavia Butler's work in that research. And her participation tonight has actually come full circle because she re-engaged with Octavia Butler's novels after the exhibit was hosted here at the Huntington. You can also check out more about the organization that's mentioned in the program at artreligionandculture.com. And Phil, we're really lucky to have working with Tamisha. He has a film that's going to be screened at the Fuller Theological Seminary on January 23rd, so make sure to check that out. And he was introduced to Butler's works through Tamisha. And Shelley, who's a data scientist, hence the amazing stuff you're going to see, she started reading Butler's works as a teenager and was really inspired by the fact that there was at least one writer writing about Black female protagonists in science fiction. So it's exciting to see that they will be presenting their piece inspired by Butler's works. Let's hear it for them.
All that you touch, you change. All that you change changes you. The only lasting truth is change. God is change. We are Earthseed. We are the children of God, as all fractions of the universe are the children of God. But more immediately, we are the children of our particular Earth. Now, we can be a long-term success and the parents ourselves of a vast array of new peoples, new species, or we can be just one more abortion. We must scatter the Earth's living essence, human, plant, animal, to extrasolar worlds. The destiny of Earthseed is to take root among the stars.
The Earthseed destiny is an airy nothing. The country is bleeding to death in poverty, slavery, chaos, and sin. This is a time for us to work for our salvation, not to divert our attention to fantasy explorations of extrasolar worlds. If you're looking for immortality in outer space, you've been misled. You already have an immortal soul. And where that soul spends eternity is up to you. Remember the Tower of Babel. You can follow Earthseed, build your way to go to the stars, fall down into chaos, and wind up in hell. Or you can follow the will of God. And if you follow God's will, you can live forever, secure and happy in God's true heaven. This business sounds half antebellum revival and half science fiction. I don't trust it. Freedom is dangerous, but it's precious too. You can't just throw it away or let it slip away. You can't sell it for bread and pottage.
See, all religions are ultimately cargo cults. Adherents perform required rituals, follow specific rules, and expect to be supernaturally gifted with desired rewards. Long life, honor, wisdom, children, good health, wealth, victory over opponents, immortality after death, any desired rewards. Earthseed offers its own rewards. Room for small groups of people to begin new lives and new ways of life, with new opportunities, new wealth, new concepts of wealth, new challenges to grow and to learn and to decide what to become. Earthseed is the dawning adulthood of the human species. It offers the only true immortality. It enables the seeds of the earth to become the seeds of new life, new communities on new earths. The destiny of Earthseed is to take root among the stars, and there, again, to grow, to learn, to fly.
There was a time, Christian Americans, when our country ruled the world. America was God's country, and we were God's people, and God took care of his own. Now look at us. Who are we? What are we? What foul, seething, corrupt, heathen concoction have we become? Are we Christian? Are we? Can our country be just a little bit Christian and a little bit Buddhist? Maybe. How about a little bit Christian and a little bit Hindu? Or maybe a country can be a little bit Christian, a little bit Jewish. How about a little bit Christian and a little bit Muslim? Or perhaps we can be a little bit Christian and a little bit pagan cultist. We are God's people, or we are filth. We are God's people, or we are nothing. We are God's people. God's people.
Listen and remember, choose your leaders with wisdom and foresight. To be led by a coward is to be controlled by all that coward fears. To be led by a fool is to be led by the opportunist who control the fool. To be led by a thief is to offer up your most precious treasures to be stolen. To be led by a liar is to be asked to be told lies. And to be led by a tyrant is to sell yourself and your family into slavery. God is change. And in the end, God prevails. But meanwhile, kindness eases change. Love quiets fear. And a sweet and powerful positive obsession blunts pain, diverts rage, and engages all of us in the greatest, the most intense of our chosen struggles. See, partnership is giving, taking, learning, teaching, offering the greatest possible benefit while doing the least possible harm. Partnership is a mutualistic symbiosis. Partnership is life. Any entity, any process that cannot or should not be resisted or avoided must somehow be partnered. Partner one another. Partner diverse communities. Partner life. Partner any world that is your home. Partner God. Only in partnership can we thrive, grow, and change. Only in partnership can we live. Yeah.
I love that so much. I mean, this is the conflict. It exists in the opera. It exists in the book. I think we should do 2 songs to represent what we just saw. Y'all have your tickets, right? That's like 3 people. Y'all really don't have tickets to this opera? Did y'all know that it was happening? You're waiting a little while, or you needed to see if I sang good tonight? Then you was like, okay, I'm gonna go to the free event, and if she sound good, maybe we would like buy some tickets. Oh my goodness. Well, this story is complicated. Willie God, God don't never change. A God always will be God. Willie God, God don't never change. always will be God. Drowning people sometimes fight their rescuers. Drowning people sometimes fight their rescuers. It isn't enough for us to just survive. It isn't enough to be limping along. It isn't enough for people playing business as usual as things get worse and worse. Oh, drowning people sometimes fight their rescuers. Oh, drowning people sometimes fight their rescuers. Is this the shape that we give God? Is this the shape that we give God? If this is the shape that we give God, then we will become too weak, too poor, too hungry, too sick to defend ourselves. Then we'll be wiped out. Drowning people sometimes fight their rescuers. Drowning people sometimes fight their rescuers. There must be something more that we can do, a better destiny that we can share, another place, another way, something.
That's the second time tonight I've been moved to almost tears, but I guess I'm sensitive. It's you. You're a precious gift. Our last offering tonight is provided by Melodie Yashar. She has the lucky job of responding to Butler's Parable of the Trickster. What novel is that, you ask? Well, It's unpublished because Butler never finished it. So it has not been released and likely will never be because she didn't finish it. But Melodie has created this piece and she refers to it as space architecture. But I'm here to tell you she's just going to take us to Mars tonight. Melodie Yashar.
Thank you for the introduction. Can you hear me okay? Okay, great. Let's go to space. Often the urge to begin again, to start over, is fostered by a wave of hope and faith that what we now know, or the knowledge that we now possess, will enable us to construct a better future. In pondering new worlds, new planets, new ways of living, and new civilizations beyond Earth, we also inevitably confront the question of our needs as a people, or as a species, to ensure that we not only survive the harsh and extreme extraplanetary environment, but also that we thrive within them, that we prosper, that we feel joy, that we feel inspiration, that we feel compelled to contribute to a developing society. In Parable of the Trickster, Octavia Butler sets the scene for a new settlement in Alpha Centauri, an altogether different galaxy far removed from our own, in which the new settlers, prompted to fulfill the destiny and the duty of Earthseed, travel to the stars to begin again. In Butler's unfinished work, the last of the Parable series, we confront the issues and realities of living and adjusting as a pioneer and a new settler in a fundamentally hostile land. In their new settlement, the Earthseed acolytes grow fruit and nut trees in greenhouses and gardens. They grow potatoes, beans, and corn, and later farm the soil, developing the ecosystem of their new planet. In their new efforts to, quote, conquer the godforsaken gray mud ball of their new planet, we as readers witness the consequences of destructive, short-sighted fantasies of, quote, dominating the land. The characters, anticipating and imagining a new paradise, are met with all kinds of medical maladies, coughing, aching, scratching, trying not to throw up. Lauren Olamina, founder of Earthseed, taught we'll have to work hard to adapt to our new home and create a new paradise, as paradise is never finished. Paradise is forever a work in progress. Butler describes hallucinations that taunt the characters, some of the memories and visions from life on Earth, hauntings of people and events past, suggesting that what we feel we are leaving behind never fully leaves us. Today, the reality that we are becoming a spacefaring civilization is more real than ever. The universe is increasingly becoming a world within our reach. In my work as a researcher for NASA and human systems integration, and also as a co-founder of Space Exploration Architecture, which we refer to as Search Plus, the proposition of how we will live in the extreme environment of space, and particularly the Moon and Mars, is at the forefront of my work. Fundamentally, I believe designing and engineering technologies that can sustain life in the harsh environment of space must and will necessarily serve the needs of our own planet and its struggles as well. There are a multitude of arguments for why we as a species ought to create permanent self-sustaining human settlements on other planets. At the core, I believe that the spirit and the motivation towards exploration to uncharted and unknown territories is a constituent part of what it means to be human, so much so that we can say that it's a part of our DNA. Others see expansion into the universe and settlements on Mars and the Moon as a long-term backup plan for humanity's survival in a fundamentally hostile galaxy, where an asteroid or a megavolcano could potentially wipe us out. But these catastrophes aside, a warranted argument in opposition to settlement on other planets is why leave Earth to colonize other lands when we should and could be fighting to save our own planet from the daunting realities and challenges of climate change, growing inequality, and unsustainable resource and energy management. And so when we see ourselves amongst the stars, when the promise of human spaceflight as the apex of science and technology development and engineering propels us towards a vision of life on other worlds, what new promise do we carry with us for renewal or for a fresh start through exploration? What then on earth do we leave behind? In many ways, the conflicts implicit in contemplating a new world come to the forefront through Butler's unfinished narrative, and I both understand and resonate with the contradictions and the paradoxes that it raises, particularly as someone devoted to the architectural, material, and robotic challenges of off-world construction. Perhaps our future settlements on other worlds, though hostile and indifferent to our survival, can never be as different as we might imagine when we are fundamentally the same children, the same seedlings of Earth. And I'll end by quoting Butler, who reminds us that, quote, "Trickster forces us again and again to reconsider, re-examine, redefine all that we are." Thank you.
So many things. I feel like let's just have the panel discussion on this right now. Oh, tomorrow. Yes, let's come back for it. Extraordinary. I asked her during our tech, I said, well, included in this plan is there you fucked up everything already on Earth, so you can't go anywhere else until you learn how to not fuck up things anywhere else. Like, that has to go along with it. It's so amazing. It's because we're so creative and wonderfully explorative, and we come up with all these ideas, and then we just completely leave out human behavior. You know, we just like, well, let's build a nuclear power plant, you know, and then it's like, yeah, but we don't take care of things well. So, like, since that could, like, kill everybody, maybe we shouldn't build it. It's so interesting. We leave it out completely. And my brain is going bananas. But one thing I feel like I pulled from that is a little bit of this idea of what you can be activating on Earth. And no matter what happens, what can you be activating in Earth? How can you be your most aware, generous, and kind self activating on this incredible planet? And if you read Butler, the planet survives. The planet survives. The planet survives. And this is such an incredible, direction change for us. This is such a great opportunity for us to completely risk the unknown of each of us as individuals, our own unknown steps in the direction that would work against the tyranny and violence and destruction that is being offered to everyone right now. It's a personal decision you have to make. And you don't have to make it by yourself. You can call your people together, or you can sit with one person, or you can write a poem, or you can have debate, or you can collect data and decide that the data is cool, but it needs to be art and something that can vibrate space. You can imagine, and build housing on Mars or the moon and still understand that you live on Earth and that it is your place. Exactly. Exactly. The time is now. But I would say start with the little things that are pretty easy, like voting. You must vote. It's like the worst time. And if you cannot get yourself out to represent that you are alive and watching, at the worst time, what are you telling all your people coming after you? It needs to be like 80-something% of us show up and vote. I'm not even going to discuss who you voting with. The scariest thing is us just showing up. Just show up and wreck and cause chaos and have a party. Some say time is ending. Did you say time is ending? How can it be so? We're just getting started. There is no end. Shape God with forethought and care, fulfillment of destiny. Shape God with forethought and care, fulfillment of destiny. A universal purposeful life on earth. shape to the light, as light shapes the darkness. Death gives shape to life, as life gives shape to death. The universe and God share this wholeness, each divine in the other. As the universe shapes God, darkness gives shape to the light, as light shapes the darkness. Death gives shape to life, as life gives shape to death. The universe and God share this wholeness, each divine in the other. As the universe shapes God, darkness gives shape to the light, as light shapes the darkness. Death gives shape to life, as light gives shape to death. The universe and God share this wholeness, each divine in the other. Juliet Jones. Yes!
We do have time for a short Q&A. But before we do that, I just want to invite all the artists to stand up together, take a bow. Step up.
Oh yeah, come move up. Ooh.
Like any good space open to the public.
I want to really thank the Huntington for doing this collaboration with us. This is amazing. It was really amazing to visit Octavia's papers and to have an understanding of foundation of work we have been working on, and also just to collaborate with all the people at the Huntington who actually were the ones that actually picked the people that Juliet and I were having conversation with. So this is like all new for me and really exciting, and I'm really grateful.
Do we have questions from the audience? Yes. Go ahead and speak loud, and then I'll probably repeat.
Yeah. Bravo. Thank you.
Let me just repeat the question before you answer for those who couldn't hear in the back. First of all, she said that she has tickets to the opera already. So she's winning. There's also a discount in your program for tickets, so you should purchase tonight. And second, she is wearing an Olamina t-shirt. Nice. And third, she has a question for Shelley about the data visualization. She wants to know what y'all were watching.
Okay. So first here we have Octavia Butler's actual words, which the Huntington was lucky enough to use. And then when it goes past this, I took the whole entire book as a text file, and then I turned it into a principal component analysis, which is showing how connected the words are. And then at the very end, I picked certain words so you can see how many times it's used throughout the books and the words that are very connected to those.
Shout out to the people in the booth who just quick style put it up here. Nice. Is there another question? People asking questions of each other. Nice. Good. Yes, please. Thank you for sharing. The gentleman made a point about Octavia Butler being from Pasadena. There's something very Pasadena about her work and the fact that JPL is so close. I wondered, Melodie or Toshi, anybody who's dug deep into her work, if you know of any connection or any inspiration.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, Robledo is here, and Robledo is the community that Parable of the Sower starts with, and we're in it right now. And so the whole time I've been around this, I'm getting on the highway, I just get freaked out on the highway. I'm like, this is where they walk, and I, and then I'm like, who's already started building a wall? Because I think the walls start now. And the, I'm so happy that it's so beautiful, and people got in their cars and drove here, and like it smells so good, and it's like you walk into this space, it's a completely different temperature. I'm really happy that we are not in that position. It gives us like 4 more years. 2024.
2024.
And I'm like hopeful. I'm really hopeful that it doesn't have to go there, because I'm like, we were supposed to start, earlier with our revolution around 214, 215, according to Ben Coley in Parable of the Talents, when he was asked, like, why did y'all have to go through all of this craziness? And he's like, I don't know, somewhere around 2014, 2015, people let it go. Yeah. They let it happen. And I think this idea of leadership and following leaders or waiting for incentives or, thinking something else is going to happen is like, I don't know if that's a Pasadena thing to know that shit's not going to happen. I don't know if y'all already know this. And then and if you do, can you really help everybody else with your skills? Because that, to me, is so interesting. She's so intentional about everything. There's no mistakes. She's very intentional. There's a reason why it's here. There's a reason why this community falls apart so completely. It's a reason why good people, lock themselves behind a wall and just try to hold on and think that they can do it for 10, 20, 30 years and nobody will discover them or change. And there's a reason why, God is in the hands, eyes, and energy of a 15-year-old girl. All of it is really intentional. And this is the election that tells all the others what to do. So in her story, people just drop off and stop voting. And so there's just a wild thing. But this is the one where you tell everybody else how to behave. It's not that I love anybody running. It's just that I know that if we don't actually say how to do things, people won't do them. Mm-hmm. And they have to be told. And they only learn from seeing what other people do. So I don't know if y'all, as Pasadena people, got some kind of special gift that had her do this or not. I'm not from here. I haven't spent a lot of time here, but this is like holy ground to me. It's holy ground to me.
Often people refer to Butler's work as prescient, but she actually said in an interview, it isn't prophecy. I hope. That's what she said. I saw a hand over here. I think you might be our last question for the night.
Question more so about like environmental issues and getting more people of color into the conversation, like POCs. Using Octavia Butler, do you think we could spread that message? How would we spread that message with environmental issues and making that connection so that you can see how the two are connected?
Yeah, thank you. This is a great.
Toshi, will you repeat the question before you answer it?
Yeah, she asked. Okay. She asked. She asked how using this work I can help to generate like more POC people involved in a conversation around the climate crisis, and in what ways I can do that or I have done that. So when this is like this whole conversation is kind of what I do when Parable is independently produced by me, and like whoever presents it, they're banana people who just are like, yeah, we'll do it, so there is no gigantic Hamilton infrastructure for this work. We have to fundraise all the time to get it where it needs to go. It's a big company that scares theater in America. We are like 27 people come with Parable, and we get it done. And Cap UCLA is one of the presenters. We have to shout them out. That have really invested in it. And this is what I will say is like I show up way before we actually do a show. In some communities, I've been able to show up for a year in advance. And when Parable comes, one of the first conversations I have is, who wants to do something with me as we explore this work? Hey, let's talk after this. Who wants to do something? So this actual event is based on that question. The Huntington was like, we do, and this is how this event got created. And then I have dinner tomorrow night with a bunch of like cool people who want to look at what other things can happen. The climate crisis is not separate from anything. Like everybody, even in what everybody discussed, whether or not they actually said like climate crisis, like what we're all talking about is how we are on the planet, how we are with each other on the planet, how we treat the planet, how we use our power and our awareness to take care of our home planet Earth, and to understand like if our destiny is to take place amongst the stars. I always say our destiny is to realize we are already amongst the stars, and to act like it, right? And so I am so excited about this path. I've never done anything like it in my work at all. I call it the Parable Path, and all of the communities that I've been in so far have done like extraordinary things. And if you paid attention to those people, or these people on this stage, and your worries will cut by 50%, and your adrenaline to power your forward motion would like hit you like this in an amazing way. And you would like listen to like 50% less of garbage about people who you do not like. And you would only think about how to get them out of your face. So inside of that movement, it is a very, very, very heavily POC-led movement. Like it's, because you go into communities and you say, who knows Octavia Butler? Who's been activating around this work? Who wants to do something? And then they bring in people who don't know who Octavia is. We do anything we can to get people in the room, but the work is a belly button. I'd say that everywhere. It's an excuse to like come together. It's an excuse to run pathways in and out. And because Octavia and this particular work has such such a great base of people who are exploring it or reading it on all kinds of levels. It is a great opportunity to call people together on the climate crisis, which I will say again can't be separated from any other issue, anything that you're interested in. So that's what I'm doing, and I commit to come to communities, have the show, and then keep showing up and working with people. So I kind of travel. Except for Abu Dhabi, Singapore, and Holland, all of the other places, I kind of now am a cycle of traveling and working with people. And we do Parable in Boston after here. And in Boston is going to be a very big gathering of lots of people who have done things, because I actually won an award from the Duke Foundation that will actually help support the work there. And yes, Emergent Strategies, Adrienne Marie Brown.
Okay, so a couple of things as we wrap up. One, I encourage you to read your program so that you can learn about future events here at the Huntington, so you can get discounts, and so you can learn more about all the folks on stage. I also want to invite you to a reception of cookies and coffee out on the terrace. And in celebration of Butler's ideas around celebrating each other's diversity and humanity, I encourage you to meet a friend tonight, meet somebody new. And if you need a question to start a conversation with someone, start with just asking people about what their high and low was for the day. And last, I want to thank Alice Say, Carla Nielsen, Kimberly Feeney, and President Karen Lawrence, and also Toshi Reagon, Juliet Jones, and all of the artists that presented tonight. Please.
And Claudia Peña.
Thanks, folks.